Today we are in the wheels of a man who is quite legendary within the sport of mountain biking and certainly e-mountain biking and mountain bike eliminator. That is the man who is Jeroen van Eck. He is a Dutch rider. He's now the current world champion of mountain bike eliminator, and as this comes out, he's going to be taking part in the e-mountain bike cross country to see if he can get a second world championships of the year. We chat basically about how he does, what it's like to ride mountain bike eliminator as well as e-mountain bike, and the differences, and also like some of the misconceptions with e-mountain bike. So listen in and enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for taking the time. As we were kind of discussing, there's lovely blue skies behind you. Where actually are you?
At the moment, until tomorrow morning, I'm at Val Thorens in the French Alps. At the moment, preparing myself for the World Championships e-mountain bike, and as the race is on altitude in Andorra, I'm here for 3 weeks to prepare myself and to get used to the altitude. Doing it by camper, which is pretty cool actually. So I've been in quite some places yet. And tomorrow I will make the drive to Andorra and exploring some trails over there, and then preparing myself for the championships.
Nice. I mean, it will be crazy to do a second World Championships in the same year. Obviously, the first one you've done, you were remarkably successful at, and we'll get onto that. But yeah, e-mountain biking is it's interesting for me because I don't know a lot about it. But in my head, I'm like, it seems like it should be easier, but I think it probably isn't.
Indeed. Like, of course, this is the argue I have quite often, because I do understand most of the people using their e-bikes just for like community or commuting, riding to the bakery, to do grocery shopping, and that's to make life easier. So you use the e-bike in normal life just to make your life a bit easier. But on the other hand, if I talk about myself, using the e-mountain bike is actually to make life a bit harder. I mean, you can explore trails and places you couldn't ride when you were on a normal bike, on a push bike. And being on a mountain bike since my 7th year, since I'm 7 years old. So over, let's say, 24 years, I'm on the mountain bike now. And somehow with the e-biking, I can explore and get excited again about mountain bikes in general, and then especially in the e-biking, just because I can do new stuff, which I couldn't do before.
Yeah, I guess it's like, because you're going faster, you have to be really switched on, because if you make a mistake at that speed, it's worse than making a mistake at a lower speed, and you're having to take obstacles on, like rock gardens. You're having to go through them quicker than you normally would.
Indeed. It's like one part is the speed, and I have to say we are limited to what the European law is giving us. So that means 25 k's an hour with you can have a margin of 5%, so you can go like 26, a little bit over, if you talk about racing. But as I am a Bosch athlete as well, I really want to showcase the right way, of course, and therefore I don't have any tunes on my bike going over that speed limit. Meaning when I'm from Holland, so we are one of the flattest countries of Europe. So you reach that top speed quite easy, actually. And that makes it sometimes a bit boring because you're always on that edge of 26k an hour. But if it gets a bit more technical and a bit hilly, then actually I go faster through the corners and through the sections than I can on a mountain bike. And that also improves my handling skills in mountain biking in general. And then being here in the Alps is just there are just so many more opportunities here. And that's really exciting, actually.
Yeah, and you've already said the World Championships are the big focus. Last year you did them in Glasgow at this kind of Super Worlds. You got 7th. So what learnings are you taking from that event that you're gonna move on to this time?
Like for sure, like the racing itself is like there's a lot of mechanical part involved, like the
Hmm.
bike, the software you have, and having a reliable system is for sure really important. So having Bosch as a partner is really helping me a lot. But at the same time, where I'm battling with is like my body weight. I'm like 75, 76 kilos. And I do get kind of the same motor support as the other guys have who are like 10 or 15 kilos lighter. So it means that in the end, the motor is helping them more than it helps me. And therefore, I just need to compensate it with physics. And yeah, until a certain level, I can improve my physics to close that gap. And then from the other side, I just need to be really focused because every small mistake you make costs you like 2 or 3 seconds. And it's not like in cross country racing that you just give it a big push and you clear that gap again. No, in e-biking, it kind of, if you have that gap, it's quite, and we're running the same speed, we kind of stay in the same distance from each other. So it's really about not making too many mistakes, actually. And therefore, your focus needs to be really spot on. And that makes also that my heart rate is, in average, usually higher than in a cross country race. And that's quite surprising, actually.
Yeah, yeah, it certainly is. But it kind of the way you talk about it, it makes perfect sense. Um, I want to go back to like how you even got into cycling. Then, I mean, you're Dutch. Like to me, there's like, well, you're kind of born on a bike almost. But like, what got you into cycling, and what took you down the path of mountain bike versus any of the other disciplines of cycling?
Well, like I tried many different sports, from soccer to tennis, swimming, but in the end, like cycling was the sport for me. And actually, it was my dad who inspired me. He was I think one of the first ones in Holland who discovered mountain biking in the 90s, as he was a really enthusiast windsurfer. Yeah, in winter the water is cold and the wind is not always there, so he decided to start mountain biking, and that's how the bike came in the family. And yeah, we are. I started at the local mountain bike club. As I said, I was 7 years old. Actually, I couldn't even participate in the club as the um, minimum was 8 years old. So
Mm.
I needed to get some dispensation, which was actually pretty cool. And then yeah, from there on, it just went a bit crazy. I mean, I used my mountain bike to do jumps, to make big jumps in the garden, to jump from like those ping pong tables. And when I came back from a ride, my dad said again that I broke a wheel, a chain, or whatsoever. So he gave me a BMX, and that's where like the real technical skills started to grow, aside of the physical talent I already had at that age.
Yeah, and like I notice you're quite tall. It could just be perspective, but to me, you look like what 180 plus, maybe
Yeah, 182.
182. Ah, it's close. Um,
Yeah.
like,
Well done.
yeah. Do you find that is a hindrance for mountain biking? And certainly, you've said that it is for e-mountain biking, but has it been for XCO and when you've done that side of sport?
Um, like in an international field, yes, I think it has
Hmm.
effect. Like the early years when I was under 16, junior, under 23, like I did also do some international racing, but like in the national races, I could keep up with the top three, top five. Because just like climbing and weight per kilo or watt per kilo is not that important yet.
Mm.
But as further I got into the cross country racing, I just found out that like there's a certain limit of also my physics. And I just simply cannot push enough watts per kilogram to keep up with the world class cross country riders. But yeah, I found out that there is not always just watt per kilo, which is important. If you can put a lot of power on for like, let's say 2 minutes time, you can be an excellent eliminator rider actually. And Yeah, my first race internationally was a Bundesliga, first experience ever with Eliminator, and I could win that race in front of guys racing for the Rabobank team back then, the giant Rabobank team, which was for me like a team I really looked up to. And then at dinner in hotel, the guys celebrated me, and like I was, yeah, that's actually how the flame for and the interest in Eliminator started.
Yeah, and you've been doing that a fair while. You've been World Cup winner, like the overall title a couple of times. You've won a couple of individual rounds of the World Cup, but this year was the first time that you got the World Championships. Like,
Yeah.
how did that feel? And because certainly as an onlooker, it looked like a very popular win. Like a lot of people were celebrating you online and saying how well you'd done, and just that they're
Yeah,
pleased for
yeah.
you.
Yeah, as I said, like I was first year under 23, so that's like I was 19 years old. I did my first Eliminator, and then it started to grow, and I wanted to do more, and I want to do a whole World Cup series. And back then, I thought, okay, let's give it a try. Try to become like go from a top, like how would you say, a top individual athlete to a really high level performer in the end. I had talent, but I couldn't say I was like on the best level yet. So that's where I started my own team with partners around me to get myself to that top. And like 10 years of hard work resulted in many victories and titles, but I never got that world championship title. Closest I got was second, and I've been out of the Eliminator for like a good year to focus really on the e-biking and trying to get myself to the top three, top five there as well. And somewhere I thought it couldn't go side by side. But then this year in 24, I saw that the World Championships were in Germany, and in silence without and too much how do you say it, too much outcome to the outer world about racing the World Championships. I prepared in silence and went back to the venue where it kind of started, and yeah, I could win the World Champs this year. Against competitors where I was racing with over 10 years already, also with new guys who maybe thought, hey, who is Jeroen? If they jumped in last year because they didn't see me. But like many congratulations from all the athletes and people around me were really all based on the performance I had in the past. And they all knew I really wanted that world title once in my career, and I never got it. And then somehow, for some, maybe it came out of the blue. For me, it didn't. So yeah, winning that world title also gave a lot of good support from the industry and the people who were involved from the beginning.
Yeah, it's kind of wild because you say it's out the blue for some people. Like I find Eliminator, especially the men's field, it's like everyone's got a really good chance. Like if you told me anyone's won, I'd believe you immediately. Whereas if you told me like someone won in the women's that I didn't think could do it, I would probably doubt it. But in the men's field, I don't have that. Yeah, it's just different because like everyone's got a good chance on every single day.
Yeah.
But it must have been hard to take it off the Corotech boys because Simon's been world champion, Tituan's been world champion for so many years as well,
Yeah.
and it was their home event in a way because their team was sponsoring the event, and you rocked up
Yeah.
and beat them. That
Yeah.
must have
So
been quite wild.
yeah, well, it was, that's for sure. Like, and sometimes I feel a bit guilty about it, in a good way, I must say. I mean, I know Stefan, the team manager of the team, very well. I know all the guys very well. I battled against them for so many times. So also from their side, I got like the best wishes, honor, like really the best wishes from them as well. I must say, if there was one world championship in all the career, in all the career I did, and I could pick one race to win it, it was definitely Aalen. So it couldn't be any better. I mean, that race was just insane. The amount of people who were there, the level of professionalism in organizing, and just everything was spot on. And then winning there is just, I still sometimes really cannot believe it. And also it sometimes or somehow sets a new fundament for where the Eliminator racing can go to. And I think Aalen should be and can be a great example for other organizers to look up to, and to try and create an event like this, because it really shows how awesome Eliminator racing can be.
Yeah, absolutely. The crowds always look like ridiculous in terms of how many there are. And then when you were actually racing through the tournament, like how far ahead are you looking? Like when you're doing the qualifying, are you already thinking of getting through to the big final, or are you just going, okay, I need to be top 32 here, do that, then focus on the next race? How do you approach that sort of event?
Well, in the past, I could dream of that world title already weeks before, days before, or even on race day. But as you can imagine, that also distracts you from the task you need to do, and that's just to push as hard as you can. And being out of the racing for a year really helped me also to zoom out a bit and don't be spot on in the hectic all day long, and also not in the race nerves in the days before. And I think as a person, I just grew and made a step forward, and therefore I just could really focus on the task I had to do, and that means qualifying, racing as fast as you can, because that makes you choose the next spot on the start grid, which can help you as well. And also it brings you in a better schedule against just less stronger riders in the beginning of the racing. So yeah, qualify is just one task, and that's going flat out. Also to feel how the course is going, how fast you can go through the corners, when the lactate kicks in, that kind of stuff. So it also helps me to really feel the course. And then from 8 finals on, it was just pushing as hard as I can, and then looking how far I can get. Do I have enough advantage on the other guys? I could slow down a bit. If they were still in my wheel, I just need to keep pushing. And that's actually the strategy I had until the big final. And yeah, at that moment, of course, some more race nerves the race nerve gets higher, but still, I really could focus on just my task, and that was riding as hard as I can. And I think the footage really showed also my strength from the start on. I took the lead, and I just never stopped pedaling, and the gap just opened up a bit step by step. I could go through the corners very well, over the obstacles very fast, and in the second lap I had a small gap, and in the end I think I just put so much pressure on them by putting the speed so high that the others made mistakes, and yeah, and the final straight was quite easy actually in comparison to other eliminators where it's really battling till the finish line.
Yeah, because were there crashes behind? I'm trying to remember now because I've not actually. I watched it live and then that was it, and I haven't
Yeah,
really thought about it since. But I feel like there were crashes behind. Maybe Simon crashed.
it was Edwin Lind who took
Yes.
my wheel, and with going into the second lap, we had a really long straight, and I just went all out there, and there the gap slowly started to open, and I could go through all the obstacles fast. And I think there were two corners left, and I knew this corner was really sketchy. You had some cobblestones, and then there was a transition to like a pile. I think that's the right word. I'm not sure, but it's at least a really big kind of stone which you can also put in your house, for example.
Okay.
So you get from kind of grippy cobblestones onto this half of a meter where you had less traction, and then cobblestones again. And I remember from practice already that this could be a key point, to really feel the traction on the tires. And I practice that quite a lot to go every practice run faster and faster through that corner, and I could clear that one really good in the last lap. And I think Edwin was just. This is just from what I've seen on the video, huh? So I don't blame Edwin anything, but I think he just lost traction in between the cobbles, and that's
Yeah.
where he slipped off and slipped out of the corner and crashed. And and then it took some time before Jakob and Simon could go around him, and that was already enough time for me to accelerate again and get the victory.
Yeah. So obviously you're now world champion in that discipline. Will we be seeing the World Championship bands at any events? Are you hoping to get back on to XCE, whether that's this season or next season?
Well, for sure, like the wearing the World Championship jersey is something unique, something I'm really proud of. Looking back also on the career and all the effort I put in. So I would love to do some more eliminators this and next year as well, more than I did last year. Let's say it like this. I don't think I can do all of them because I will have some conflicts with the eMountain bike calendar also. Becoming world champion in eMountain biking is, I think, a step too far. Then it should be based on bad luck from my competition. I just need to be as realistic. It doesn't mean that I don't give everything I have, for sure not. I mean, I'm on altitude now for 3 weeks. My girlfriend is 33 weeks pregnant. We have a son of 2 years old at home. So I really left a lot behind to prepare myself in the best possible way for the World Championships. And I will give it my absolute best. And then we see what the outcome will be. But yeah, it shows at least that I really am professional with what I do and that I gain the best possible result based on a good performer or a good preparation and following the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess you've said already that, if you were to win, that would be more mistakes happening on other people's parts and you being just flawless. Like, what for you then would be success? Like, not even talking results particularly, but how would you go, oh yeah, I was successful here. How do you measure it for yourself?
And then focus on the upcoming championships, you mean, or just in general?
I guess just generally in mountain biking, like what is success for you, but equally for the World Championships, how would you look back at that weekend and go, oh yeah, that was successful, whether that's a results thing, whether that's a performance thing, like however you measure it.
Like, I think if you only look at results, then you will be many more times disappointed than happy. I mean, it cost me over 10 years to win a world champion title, meaning that the other 9 years should not count if you only look at the results. So that's just too short to look at it like this. So meaning in result wise for the world championships, I don't have a specific goal. Just, of course, I would love to be ranked as high as possible. And then you're going to, like, you go from top 15 to top 10 should be possible. Top 5 would be a dream, of course. But that's not the only thing. Like, Andorra is on altitude. It's my first proper championships on altitude. Actually, my first proper race on altitude. So that's also new. And the thing I really know is that you kind of need to race a little bit with the brake on, just because if you go too fast, you will blow up, and then the race is for sure over. But as the e-bike racing is so hectic and it goes so fast from the beginning, and like I can only make the difference physical, not on based on weight. So I think I need to push a bit more than some of my competitors. So that's actually a negative on altitude. So just performing on my top level with the conditions that I'm facing, I think that's what makes for me success. So that means no crashes, no stupid mistakes, clean lines, and a tempo that I can hold on the whole race instead of just the first and the second lap and then collapsing and finishing 10 places lower than what should have been possible.
Oh, awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck. I hope it goes really well for you. I'll put a link to your socials in the show notes, and people watching literally now will be able to see your Instagram, so they know what to look for. And yeah, as I said, I wish you the best of luck and thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and hope this also inspires others to just enjoy riding the bike and challenge yourself to become a better athlete, and then just see what it brings without focusing too much on the results. I think we all grew up nowadays only focusing on performance in terms of results, in terms of what people expect from themselves. And I expected a lot from myself as well. But I think the World Championship title in Eliminator showed also that if you just do what you love and race fast and just see what the outcome will be. And it sounds easy, I know, but in the end, it really is like this. And then the result will come by itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you. Ciao.
There you go. That was the amazing Jeroen van Eck. I hope you enjoyed it and got to learn as much as you can really from him. He's a great guy, and we actually spent a good 15-20 minutes off the call just generally chatting. He's a genuinely really nice guy, and it was super cool to get to chat to him. Plus he's world champion, so that's never bad. Do come back next time and we'll see you around.